October 6th, October 13th, and committee meetings for Health and Human Services on October 13th, Public Safety on the 13th of October, Public Safety on November 10th, and Physical Services on November 10th. I'll look for a motion, a second. All those, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next, I'll look for a motion to accept the budgetary transfers. Barb, seconded by Roy. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next, I need a motion for acceptance of the procurement record. Ryan, seconded by
Second.
Tom. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, carried. No old business. Moving on into the resolutions. Resolution authorizing the Montgomery County Executive to sign agreement with Eastern Medical Support LLC, sponsored by Wheeler and Veniac. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution authorizing Montgomery County Executive to sign a 911 phone and data service contract, sponsored by Wheeler and Pertel. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution authorizing the county executive to sign easement agreement, sponsored by Pertel and Wheeler. And any discussion? Roll call, we'll need 2/3 vote.
Legislator Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye.
Legislator Quackenbush.
Aye.
Legislator Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator Whites.
Aye.
Legislator Beniac.
Aye.
Legislator Duchesny.
Aye.
Legislator Wheeler.
Aye.
Legislator Isabel.
Aye.
Yes.
Next is resolution amending the 2015 operating budget, Montgomery County All Hazard Mitigation Plan, sponsored by Wheeler and Veniac. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution authorizing the county executive to sign federal section 5311 of 2015 to 2016 third-party agreement Brown Coach, sponsored by Beniac and Wheeler. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution authorizing the county executive to sign annexation revenue sharing agreement and rescinding resolution 170 of 2015, sponsored by Wheeler and Veniac. Discussion.
What we would be authorizing tonight in regards to the revenue sharing, what's in the document now? 50-50? 40-40?
50/50 and 2 40-year terms. 40-year term, option to renew for another 40 years.
Right, and if either side decided not to exercise their option, everything goes on with the original agreement of 50-50 until something happens, or does it cease?
It would renew at 50/50, and if it wasn't renewed, it would cease.
If it didn't get renewed, it would be over after 40.
It's 40 years with another term, but if someone wanted to cut it, I mean, if it didn't renew, if someone wanted to back out of it.
If it didn't renew, then there would be nothing. How would they share the revenue? So Fulton County get it all?
I mean, if they didn't want to renew, then it would be nothing. I mean, if they said we're not renewing, then there would be no.
Nothing for Montgomery, but somebody's got to get it, right?
We would all go full.
And I'll go Fulton. And I remember early on, I had said that I was in favor of an agreement that if it were to run out, it would continue on until something happened.
That was the terms that we put in it and sent it to Fulton County, and Fulton County renegotiated. They rejected that annexation agreement that we sent over and said 40 and another 40-year term.
Now, I thought I heard town supervisor say he would be all in for that type of agreement. 40-40 and
40-40. I could buy that.
50%.
The original agreement that was before the Board of Supervisors that didn't didn't get approved under Greg was 45-55. And that's all I've been dealing with the city. I didn't, not looking at 50-50, I was looking at 45-55.
But if we pass, I guess what I'm trying to make clear for the supervisors, if we vote for this tonight, I know that he had asked that the 3 legislators didn't, but if we vote for this tonight, we're not voting for a 35, we're only voting for 50-50 and 2 40s. That's what we would be supporting tonight. If I say yes, that's what I'd be supporting.
And are you supporting at the end of 40, if Fulton County says we don't want to go to the next 40, it's over?
I don't support that. I personally don't, but I know that you, I thought you just said you were good with that earlier on.
I'm good with 80. I'm not good with 40. And if nobody agrees to go on, it doesn't go another 40.
Yeah, no, I got you there, right, so.
And the way it's worded is automatic renewal, so it would continue on unless someone said, you know, unless there was some, circumstances that were going.
So can I just say one thing, and I know I'm not, I know that I've had my shot, but just one thing, if I can. What concerns me with a termination like that, the presentation that's been made to me by Fulton and Montgomery County Planning and Economic Development was that the town of Mohawk could realize as much as $225,000 worth of tax revenue if this thing goes through, okay? Now let's assume that it does, and I get $225,000 worth of taxes for my town. And then in the end of 40 years, boom. What does the supervisor do at the end of 40 years when all of a sudden he loses $225,000 of tax revenue he's been using for 40 years? I just soon scale it down over the last 40, so you take it out a little bit at a time instead of just saying, boom, there it is.
That's why I'm confused on what that says. Is it after 40?
I'd be happy to read. It says that the term of this agreement shall be 40 years after this agreement is executed by both parties. At the end of the 40-year term, this agreement shall be automatically renewed for another 40-year term under the same terms as stipulated in this agreement. So effectively, it's an 80-year term unless both parties agree to exit.
Both parties have to agree?
I mean, it's a contract. My interpretation would be is it's an 80-year term unless both parties agree to exit.
Do you agree with that?
Well, there's no express provisions in the annexation agreement that say how to terminate. So it would be something that would go to court and be up for interpretation.
I sympathize with him as a former town supervisor. I would be in the same predicament wondering how I would do that, but I'm comfortable with it if it's 50-50 and you're telling me it's 80.
The reason it's set up that way is because there was some debate prior to me getting here about the legal limits that a county can contract for via an agreement.
So-
And 40 years ended up being the sticking point.
So our yes
So
vote
that's
for
why
this-
it's set up as 240.
Just to be clear, our yes vote for this tonight is something you support. I don't want anybody to misconstrue that. It's 80 years and it's 50-50. I'm not voting for 35 or a 40-year.
You're not voting for the town of Mohawk and the city of Jamestown. You're voting for Fulton, Montgomery County. It doesn't have anything to do with the city and the town. I have to make my own separate agreement. And that's the issue. So if the city of Jamestown doesn't enter into an agreement with the town of Mohawk, and this annexation goes forward,
Oh, okay.
the town of Mohawk gets shut out. If you read the paper, Mr. Mraz has made that very clear. I mean, he's made it very clear that we don't need the town of Mohawk. We can go ahead.
I see what you're saying.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank Supervisor Bishop for coming tonight and bringing us all up to speed and putting us on the same page of where the city and town are at. And I think it's a very interesting request, and I respect that request from the supervisor for solidarity. I've project like this deserves. It's a transformational project, and like I said, this agreement that we have before us is an extremely fair agreement. And while I would love to support the supervisor this evening, the reason that I'm going to support this agreement is, just as Supervisor Bishop said, that if there's no agreement between the town and the city, the town taxpayers will be at a loss. If we do not accept this agreement and move forward with this agreement, the county taxpayers, and including the town of Mohawk taxpayers, will be at an additional loss. And that's why I'm going to support this, because I think, while it's extremely unfortunate that the city has not been forthcoming with, or the mayor has not been forthcoming with negotiating an agreement, we have a very fair agreement in front of us that will benefit the taxpayers. And I did want to make clear, just as I think it's an important issue moving forward as we talk about this project and impacts thereof, that this annexation, of which the town of Mohawk will be the lead agency, is classifies as a type 1 action under SEQR and will require full environmental assessment, and at the very minimum, and potentially an environmental impact statement that will find out exactly what the impacts of this project are and whether there's any mitigation measures that should be implemented. And I think that's very important that everybody is on the same page with that as well moving forward, because it's going to be a transformational project in a number of ways.
Who pays for that?
Depends on, as I believe, it depends on town and state planning law. There's a number of different towns that have different agreements set up, but in a lot of towns, I know that the applicant, and I'm not sure if that's standard throughout the state, but in most cases, the applicant, in this case, it would be those petitioning for annexation, would be the ones to pay for the environmental impact assessment or the environmental impact statement. But this project is going to be, this annexation will be transformational in many ways, some positive, some negative, and it's in everybody's interest to specify exactly what those are, and if any of those negative impacts can be, those adverse impacts can be avoided. Thank you.
Supervisor Bishop, I'm assuming that you're representing your full board here.
I represent, without them being here, I guess I can answer that fairly. I've talked with this board. We've been talking about it for a year. In fact, 2 years since I've been here. It's not that they don't know what's going on, believe me.
Right.
Where's their position?
Yes.
They will support a fair agreement between the city of Johnstown and the town of Mohawk.
Obviously, I represent the eastern part of town of Mohawk. I too, I don't have a problem with backing you to make a stand. However, I don't know if it really is going to make a difference. But saying that, I will withdraw my second on the proposal.
Would anybody like to pick up the second so we can continue?
Jesus. I'll pick it up.
Wait,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
picking it up?
Bob. No, you're the sponsor. You can't be the second.
Oh. I can't. Okay, so Bob is picking it up?
Yes. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Supervisor, just tell me again, how you think that this can provide leverage for you?
I think if there was, I'm not saying that this is not a great agreement. I'm not saying that at all. I think it is a good agreement. I'm just saying if we don't execute it at this point and say, we'd like the city of Johnstown and the town of Mohawk to come to an agreement great. It's a great piece. I'm not arguing.
Yeah, it is a good deal. I think I understand kind of where you're coming from, and I think we've seen examples before where in the name of economic development, small communities just get ground up in the process, and a lot of times those jobs don't come through. I know like in Canajoharie, they're still paying for sewer system improvements for beach knot, and I want to make a motion to table.
I'd second that.
Discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Thank you.
No, that's gonna push back. All right. Moving along, resolution amending the 2015 operating budget, professional services, sponsored by Diamond and Whites. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution authorizing county treasurer to distribute mortgage tax money, sponsored by Wheeler and Kelly. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution amending the 2015 operating budget, sponsored by Wheeler and Diamond. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
I actually wanted to vote no on, you were going a little too fast on 283. Thanks. I know it makes no difference, but it makes a difference for me. Thank you.
What number are we
286.
Mhm.
Resolution setting a hearing on the proposed annexation of property to Fulton County, sponsored by Pertel and Diamond. There needs to be an amendment to the first resolve, putting in the date, December 28th at 6 p.m. in the theater room of FMCC, located at 2805 State Highway 67, Johnstown, New York, 12095.
I'll second that.
All right. Discussion?
Does it make sense scheduling it when we're tabled?
May I be heard? We don't have an option on this. We have a statutory obligation to set the hearing within 20 to 40. We have to notice the hearing within 20 days of receiving the notice of petition. We received the notice of petition on November 9th. We must notice the hearing by November 29th, and then we have to hold the hearing within 20 to 40 days after that point. So that's why it's the December 28th. It's not the optimal day, but it's the one that falls right in the center. So unfortunately, we don't have much wiggle room on the time frame for this.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Chair, what's the time on that?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Next is resolution authorizing.
Oh, you vote on the resolution.
Oh, sorry. Any discussion on the resolution as amended? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution authorizing the county executive to sign task order, sponsored by Wheeler and Diamond. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution denying applications for refunds, sponsored by Kelly and Wheeler. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution amending the 2015 operating budget CHIPS fund, sponsored by Pertel and Wheeler. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution approving abstract of audit claims, sponsored by Isabel and Wheeler. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. resolution authorizing the county executive to sign renewal agreement, labor relations services, Romer, Wellens, Gould, and Minot, sponsored by Wheeler and Whites. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution authorizing the county executive to sign agreement for Crohn's time clock maintenance, sponsored by Wheeler and Kelly. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution amending the 2015 operating budget, unemployment, sponsored by Wheeler and Whites. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign renewal agreement with Eastern Medical Support, sponsored by Wheeler and Isabel. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign renewal agreement with HM Life Insurance Company of New York, sponsored by Wheeler and Diamond. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is resolution adopting introductory local law F of 2015, a local law establishing a salary schedule of various county officials, sponsored by Wheeler and Whites. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Nay? Abstain? Motion passed. Next is resolution rescheduling December meeting of the Montgomery County Legislature, sponsored by Whites and Wheeler. Discussion?
Chair, I'd like to make a